Father, I just thank you for this morning, and I just thank you for just the blessing of Leah and just getting to know her the last couple years, and just the ministry and just her heart that she brings and ministers to people everywhere she goes, whether it's in her home or church or homeschool co-ops, and even her wellness ministry. I just thank you for how she helped me get through this last pregnancy and have a healthy baby. And oh my, I'm postpartum. Just thank you, God, for all that she does for so many people. And I just pray that the moms that would hear this in a couple weeks, that they would just be encouraged to take a step forward in the health that you want their family to have, and to be okay with whatever little next step they can do, and to not be overwhelmed with needing to do everything perfectly, but to just make daily little choices that honor our body and honor you through honoring our body. And so we just pray for the moms that will hear this. And I just thank you for Leah and her time. I pray a blessing on our husbands and kids as they do all the things without us for this little uninterrupted time. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Oh man, mom's postpartum. I need to switch gears here. I thought I was okay. Oh, okay. I don't want to sound like I'm crying on the recording, so just need like 30 seconds. But that's okay, Mom. I'm real.
It is okay. And we cry sometimes because
We cry
life is
sometimes.
full. We cry happy
It's
tears and
so
sad
full.
tears.
It's so full. And Lucas is like 1 in like 2 weeks,
Mm.
which is crazy, which is bringing on a whole like fourth and final baby. Because my husband, like, as soon as he came out, my husband was like, "Can we be done?" I was like, with me being pregnant, I know you're done with me being pregnant, but yes, from this body. But
Yep.
we'll see what the Lord has in store for us. But
Yep.
anyway,
So true.
welcome to Only Love Today. And I'm so excited to introduce you to my friend, Leah Rolfe. Leah is somebody who not only I've gotten to know in some homeschool circles, but before that, she really brought a lot of counsel and advice and encouragement to some healing that our family needed. Me during my last pregnancy with Lucas, but then also for my kids and some of the things they were struggling with. So a little bit about Leah is that after she was battling just a grueling battle with Lyme disease, Leah's passion for natural health continued to grow. And in 2020, she completed her muscle testing certificate and began working with clients later that spring. As her knowledge and expertise increased, and to better serve her clients with a food-first approach, Leah then completed her Nutritional Therapy Practitioner, or NTP, certificate in 2023. And so she helps clients incorporate properly prepared, nutrient-dense foods, detoxing, and whole food supplementation. And I would add on to that her heart is to minister to moms, to help us learn as moms how to better make food for our kids, purchase food, supplements, just nutritious things, so that we can, what we were talking about a little bit ago, honor the bodies God gave us, but then also give our kids and our family life-giving foods. Because as you all know, we're seeing so many gut issues and all the things today with food, and there's so much information out there, which we will get into. But I love Leah's heart because she comes with a grace-filled approach, and I've never felt, shame or condemnation for, I'm trying to give my family whole food nutrition, but also I bought 60 taquitos at Sam's Club because it was $12 and we really needed dinner for like 30 people, or whatever it was that night. That it's okay to not be perfect all the time on your
Mm-hmm.
food choices, but to have this desire to live well and eat what God intended us to eat. So Leah, I'm so excited to talk to you today, but before we get in, can you just share a little bit about your family and your kids, just personally, just who you are?
Yes. Well, we moved to Colorado about 13 years ago. At the time, we had two little kids and a brand new baby. So, Jason and I have been married almost 20 years. We'll be celebrating
Yay!
20 years in January. So, that's exciting. We moved from
Congratulations.
Iowa. So, go Midwest. So many Iowans who transplant to
Mhm,
Colorado.
mhm.
And then that's when I got sick about a year after we moved. So we had moved and gotten settled, super high stress, and my body just tanked. So in the midst of that, we surprise got pregnant with our fourth. And we had always wanted 4 to 6 kids, but not when I was really sick. So
Yeah.
Grace came along, and that's why she's named Grace, is that she
Mm,
came during that time. And then, so fast forward through my Lyme journey and healing and all of that. And then we actually adopted a fifth. So our little guy is 5 years old. So we have five, almost 12, almost 14, 16, and we just graduated our first last May, and she's in college. So
what?
five kids, one graduated, 20 years of marriage, couple small businesses, living the
That's
dream.
amazing. That's amazing. And you and I met, I think, before we met in some homeschool circles, we met through like a natural health business and then
Mm-hmm.
kind of reconnected during this last pregnancy. So, your business right now, what does it look like? So, you're an entrepreneur mom, you're full time homeschool. Obviously, you have kids at home, and I know you do homeschool ministry, church ministry, different stuff. What does your business actually look like right now? What do you do?
Yes. So we like I said, in 2020, I started working with clients with muscle testing and natural health. It was a big piece of our journey, my journey, getting my hormones under control. We've had kiddos with health issues like from the get-go, tummy aches, eczemas, allergies. I mean, it's just been like one thing after the other. And then my husband actually has ulcerative colitis, which is a cousin to Crohn's disease. So health has been a thing for us. So it was advantageous for me not only to get certified to help other people, but just to help my family heal because we just couldn't sustain six of us going to a natural health practitioner. I just felt like everyone needed help. So God really just opened the door there. And I worked at a clinic part time, still homeschooling. And after a few years, I mean, I grew a lot. It was an awesome experience. And after a couple years, just had kind of come to the conclusion, like, I didn't know if I was burnt out with helping people and like, obviously kids, teenagers, we were coming up on graduating one. It was like, is this what I'm supposed to be using my time for? And just realized that we
Mm,
wanted to, if we were going to continue it, if I was going to continue in this, that we really wanted to customize and have a bio individual approach to help people heal. And my desire to teach people has grown and help moms nourish their bodies and help them nourish their babies' bodies. And when I say babies, I mean like 0 to 18, right? So there's my heart is just tender having a baby out of my house right now, but she's 18 and fully capable of having
She's
her life.
always our
So,
baby. She's always
right,
our
she's
baby.
just my baby. This just happened this summer. I'm like, they're all babies. Um,
Mm,
so we built an office on our property in downtown Loveland, and I work part-time. So I see clients on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I'll be homeschooling, making dinner, whatever, and then I'll be like, guys, I'll be back in 40 minutes, and I run outside and see a client or two, and then run back inside and finish dinner and keep homeschooling. So that was the only way also that it was going to be sustainable. I needed zero commute, and I needed to not pay Northern Colorado rent prices to work part time because I was like, I'm homeschooling. That's where my heart is. But I also have the desire to help people. So we were like, Lord, you have to like open doors. We need no commute. We need no rent. Obviously, we built this office, so we have but we're paying ourselves, right? We're paying off our own mortgage. We're not paying someone else,
that's
and be
amazing.
able to work part time. And so I lead with that. Every client I get, I'm like, I'm a homeschooling mom, and I work Tuesdays and Thursdays, and that has to work because if that doesn't, then we're not a good fit to work for. Because in this season, I do want to make sure I keep my heart at home and like focus on the main things. But God has allowed, I mean, he just blessed. We had so many bumps with building the office that the city was like, you can't do this and you can't have this space in a residential space. And God just continued to open doors. And so here we are, part-time restorative wellness. And I work with people, like I said, properly prepared, nutrient dense foods. I have a food first approach. So we're going to look at like, how can you change things in your kitchen first to make sure your body is nourished and have a good foundation before we start chasing all these symptoms of detoxing or whatever needs to be supported like, is your body and are your cells
Mm.
hungry?
Yeah,
And if they're hungry, which most people there are, let's look at getting nutrient dense foods in your diet, see how your body functions then being fed, and then we can look at detoxing, supporting things
sure.
from different angles. So,
And you said like you kind of listed all the health issues that you or
yeah.
your family have been through, but can you just take us through like a short testimony of Lyme disease? Because, well, one, I'm continuing to meet more people that have Lyme disease.
Yeah.
I grew up in South Denver, never saw a tick in my life.
Mm-hmm.
The last couple years, there are areas in northern Colorado that we hike frequently, and there are now ticks.
Mm-hmm.
And the doctor's office used to say, "Oh, there's no Lyme here." They're no
Yep.
longer saying that anymore. It's
Yep.
here.
Yep.
And so I'm one, trying to be adventurous and take our kids all over, but especially the boys, they just need to run. But I'm learning
Mm-hmm.
how to um, check for ticks. And then
Yeah.
we also had a kid get a tick a couple years ago, and I was terrified. A lot of people all over the world deal with this all the time.
Yep.
But, um, and some people have this disease and they don't know it. So,
Yep.
share with me a little bit about how you think you got Lyme or how you tried to heal it and how you ended up here.
Yes, yes. So, I'll try to be brief. So, I mean, I got super, super sick really fast. Like within 2 weeks, I was getting ready to climb a mountain because we had moved to Colorado. I had a baby nursed, and I was like, I am going to climb a mountain. I live in Colorado. So I was ready to do that. I was training for a 5K. Like, so I was pretty healthy, and I was like mom tired, right? We all know mom tired. We had two little kids and a baby. Like, I understand that. But within 2 weeks, like, I had nearly every body system in my body shutting down. So I was my heart was a big one. So like overnight I started having chest pains, and I was like doing this, like, what is going on? I felt like someone was stabbing my heart with needles, first of all, and then I was having chest pain, like my whole heart, my actual heart hurt. And then I felt like a toddler was sitting on my chest. So I couldn't breathe. Like I was like like, what is going on? And then I couldn't walk up the steps anymore. I had been training for a 5K 2 days ago. I had just ran 2 miles. And then I was like, all of a sudden, I couldn't walk up the steps. I had to sit down after 6 steps. And I was like, heavy breathing. Like, I don't know if you guys remember, there was this popular weight loss show where they would like have these people on the treadmills for the first time, right? That was me, that I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I weigh 500 pounds. My legs stopped working. So I'm sitting in the living room and I'm like, I'm going to go to the kitchen and make dinner. Nope. I can't get off the couch. Like my brain was firing, but my legs didn't. So they thought I had MS. And I'm like,
Wow.
I don't know what's going on. My arms, my cheeks, and my legs all went numb. Like that was weird. Overnight, it like started in my cheeks, and then my arms went numb, and then my legs went numb, all within like 24 hours.
And are
I
you
started
going to the ER? Like
Yes,
when
I was in the ER twice in those 2 weeks, and they were all like, "You're the healthiest person we've seen all week." And I was like, I'm literally dying. Like, I wrote letters goodbye to my kids one night in the ER. My husband, I couldn't even write because my arms were numb. My husband wrote the letters to my kids. I'm going to cry
that's a lot. That's
because I thought, I was like, at the rate my body is deteriorating in these 2 weeks, like I'm not going to be alive in 2 weeks, is what I thought. And my husband saw it too, which was huge. And he believed me and knew because I got
yeah.
so sick so fast. So we went through the whole rigmarole. They were like, you need to see a cardiologist. You need to spend the night. You need to go see a neurologist. And the neurologist looked me in the eye. I swear he was like one day out of medical school. I'm not sure, but that was my gut. And he looked at me and he was like, you're just stressed and you need a nanny. And I was like, I'm going to punch you in the face. Like, you're not hearing me. You're not listening to me. My friends all have 3 or 2 or 7 children, and this is not what's happening. Like, something's wrong. And so it was actually my dad who was like, maybe you should look into an infectious disease doctor, because they told me Lyme didn't exist in Colorado, but they were like, you're from Iowa. So they did do a Lyme test through Mayo Clinic. And I will say lots of people get help in Mayo Clinic, but for chronic illness and for Lyme disease, Mayo Clinic was not helpful to me because it came back as a negative test.
Wow.
So We had just moved to Colorado, didn't have good connections, but two friends in Iowa had Lyme disease and they were seeing a doctor in Missouri. And so we called up this doctor in Missouri, and the lady laughed at me when I said I need to get in like as soon as possible. And she's like, he's 6 months out for this Lyme literate doctor. And I was like, I don't have 6 days. Like, I don't, for sure, I don't have 6 weeks. Like, and she laughed at me, and I was like, can you put me on the wait list? And she laughed again. I don't know why she was working there. First of all, like, you need a different front desk person. But, and then she said, she kind of like chuckled and she's like, well, honey, the wait list is 30 people long. And I was like, can you put me on the wait list? And she said, yes. We were praying that God would open a door and help us. 6 days later, they called and they said, can you be here in a week? That was just the Lord opening that door. So
Wow.
went to this Lyme literate doctor. He used antibiotics, which at that point I was like, I need someone to do something. And they called and they said, you must be really sick. You must not feel well. And I was like, oh my gosh, the first person to acknowledge, like, I don't feel well. And they were like, technically, with the Lyme literate lab with IGeneX, it came back still as a false positive test, but I had 3 positive antibodies and you need 5. Sorry, excuse me. I had 4 and you have to have 5 to have the test go positive. But he's like, because you have the 4, I will treat you for Lyme disease. Now, looking back as I'm further along in this journey, I probably had other stuff going on as well, but Lyme was like at the top. And so I just want to pause here with my like modality and training and like how I view things. Everyone has a toxic bucket, right? I'm trying to like, everyone has a toxic bucket. So stress, prescriptions, too much sugar, environmental toxins, what we're putting in and on our bodies. We ate 89-cent hot dogs from the grocery store for years, and we called that dinner because I didn't know. We were on a budget and we were broke like young marrieds, right? So then we're just doing all this stuff unaware. And we moved across the country. We moved 3 times in that year. We had a baby. My stress was high. I'm a full platter kind of girl though, so I was like,
High
I'm
capacity. Yeah.
right. I have 3 babies. Like, we're fine. Like, we're good. We're going. But it was full. I knew it was full. Well, guess what? At that point, my bucket started overflowing. My bucket that overflowed was Lyme disease. Someone else's bucket that overflows might be rheumatoid arthritis. Someone else's bucket that might overflow could be cancer. It could. So the idea is, and again, this is the way I'm trained and the way I look at it. We got to lower that toxin load, get your bucket, because whatever's coming out, we have to get to the root of that. And often that is the body is starving. It doesn't have the nutrient needs to function well. Your immune system is tanked. We're eating too much sugar. There's so many inflammatory foods. We throw in some prescriptions in there, and the body is just on fire. But we keep going, and we're not watching the warning signals on our dashboard, right? So
Mhm.
about 11 months before I got really sick, I started having hypoglycemia issues where my blood sugar went wonky, which with pregnancy, my blood sugar always went wonky. But then I had a baby and afterwards it corrected itself. So I was like, oh, like this. We just had a baby. Well, it didn't go back. So looking back, I'm like, that was the first signal of my body that we were like, something's not like functioning right. But we didn't stop. We didn't pause. We didn't start thinking or asking questions or doing research or advocating for ourselves. I went to an MD. I got the diagnosis of hypoglycemia, and she's like, eat more protein.
Okay.
Okay, that's not helpful, actually. It's super
Yeah.
vague. And she's like, you're just going to have to eat every 2 hours for the rest of your life. I'm like, also not helpful, because looking back, I'm like, that was my body being like, I'm on fire and your bucket is getting very close to finishing, like overflowing with whatever I was going to present my symptoms. And that's what happened.
Wow.
So that's what I'm looking for with people and helping them move forward is we're not looking for perfection, right? And again, when your body's on fire and you have a Lyme disease or chronic disease or whatever, that is going to look more strict. Like the diets and things
Yeah.
that I went through was super intense for a couple years. For someone who's just like looking to move their family forward or their own health forward, it maybe doesn't have to look like 110%. We're never cheating, like you can
Sure.
go to that birthday party. Let's make wise choices at the birthday party. But like, we're still going to live life, right? We still live in this fallen, broken world, and God is still good and he is still sovereign. But we still need to know that our decisions have consequences. And and
Sure.
and again, like we have granola bars and we have birthday cake, and sometimes we go out for ice cream, but we're trying to maybe order a small and not the extra large, and those are few and far between, right? So
Yeah.
um anyway, I got this diagnosis. I was on 3 years of antibiotics.
Three
um
year 3 years?
yes, don't do that.
3 years.
Yes.
Okay.
So then I started having all these other hormonal issues. My hair started falling out in clumps, like I looked like a cancer patient, and I was waking up in pools of sweat in my bed. My eyelashes would fall out during the day. I'd find eyelashes on my cheeks, and I'm like, which is a whole nother onslaught of symptoms beyond what I had with Lyme, right? And so I switched to, because we'd been in Colorado for a few years at this point, there was a Lyme literate doctor in Denver. I was like, I'll go see. It was hundreds of dollars just to get in and have a conversation. And he was like, you have at least 6 more months of antibiotics. And I was like, I'm done. I'm literally done. Like, if I don't die of Lyme disease, I'm going to die because my body is shutting down from the antibiotics. And so we stopped everything cold turkey, went 100% homeopathic, did not have a clue what we were doing, hadn't read books, hadn't done anything, but we were like, we can't keep doing that. So we stopped. So then, long story short, I went to a clinic out in Reno, Nevada, and we did inpatient um, detoxing and all sorts of IV treatments and these crazy tinctures that his mom brewed in her basement.
Oh yeah, the
And
witchcraft.
yep. And it so that you'd get the shot every day, and it would spike your immune system, and you'd spike this super high fever, 104 fever, and then you'd sweat for 8 hours a day in your bed, take a shower, go back to the clinic, start another IV, get the shot again at noon. And I did that for 6 weeks. So out at the clinic, it was very eye-opening to me though, because every single person in that like IV room, they all had a similar story. They all had a traumatic or super stressful event. Guess what? Their bucket overflowed. Their mom died. Their dad got cancer. They went through a divorce. We moved across the country 3 times and had a baby and started a business in 1 year. Like, everyone had this super high stress, trauma, whatever you, then they got sick. So that was super eye opening to me. And then also, there, I think it was a mindset shift, right? At those 3 years before that, we were like, fight Lyme, fight Lyme, fight Lyme, fight Lyme.
Mm-hmm.
Then at that clinic, things shifted to build your immune system,
Hmm.
because I'm not just going to have to fight Lyme this side of heaven, right? I'm exposed, and this was pre-COVID. I mean, I was like, I have no idea what I'm going to have to fight, or my children are going to have to fight. So the thing about Lyme is you can pass it to your kids. So all of my kids could have it. And this is like, I am not a doctor. This is off the record. I personally feel like everyone has Lyme in their system. But here's where I'm trying to get on the camera. Here's your toxin, whatever it is. If it's Lyme, bacteria, parasites, whatever. God created this immune system to hold that in check. But when that immune system is broken and stressed and sugar and prescriptions and blah, 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 guess what happens? Then this flips, and that's when people start feeling bad.
Hmm.
So most people, and I know Lyme, I mean, it was horrible. It was horrific. Hardest thing we've ever had to battle with our health. So I do not say that lightly. But in light of all the things that can go on, lots of people have bacteria already in their system. Lots of people have viruses, parasites, funguses. The important thing is that your immune system stays strong. God created that. We don't live in a sterile world. He
Mm-hmm.
created that to battle, to fight. That's what your immune system was created for.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to do with people is, yes, if you get a tick bite, that's not a great option. And I will just say, go follow Earthly, EARTH, I think it's
Okay.
LEY, Earthly on Facebook. She's a homeschooling mom of 6, herbalist. She has awesome stuff. Look up Lyme disease, tick bites. She has great suggestions. And she even had a post on Facebook that was like, what to do with a tick bite. She has some like drawing salves. She has some other stuff. I really like her approach. I would also get in to see a naturopath or someone and get on drainage. I would get on some binders, and I would not eat sugar for a little while. Now, if you get the bullseye rash, that's another thing. So some people choose
Sure.
to go do a couple rounds of antibiotics. Again, I'm not a doctor. I can't tell anyone yes or no. I might do that with my kids if the bullseye rash was there. If they just
Sure.
had the tick, we would be looking at drainage. We would be looking at binders. We would be looking at a super clean diet boosting their immune system.
Okay.
Maybe some of those drawing salves. The Earthly has a couple products you could have on hand so that as a mom, you're not panicking. You're like, I know what to do here.
Yeah.
Now, here's another opinion that is not a popular opinion in the normal population and the MD world. Lyme disease can be spread other ways than tick bites. Okay.
Okay.
So if I have Lyme and my blood is infected and you have a corkscrew, Lyme is a corkscrew infection. So it digs down into the cells. If I get bit by a mosquito and a mosquito goes and bites someone else, why couldn't they spread? If my blood is infected, why couldn't they spread Lyme that way?
That's an interesting thought.
It is an interesting thought that
Yeah.
you're like, huh, that's so interesting to think about. So again, we come back to not panicking and being like, we're never going outside. Right? So I'm consistently through the summer trying to make sure that we have an all natural bug spray. We're trying to be wise. If we go hiking, we have layers on. Like we're not being foolish about it, right? But we're
Sure.
trying to be wise, enjoy the creation God gave us, but also meanwhile building the immune system because that is designed to fight for us.
So I mean, like that. I mean, going from the ER, writing
Yes.
goodbye letters to your kids, to now you're running a business, like, and you look the same as you were talking about earlier. You
Yes.
were physically strong, healthy. Do you feel like that? Do you feel like you're back to yourself?
Um, I would say most people who've recovered from Lyme disease get to about 85 to 90% of like what was normal. But right, so it's been 13 years. I have 5 children. I'm like, I wouldn't be back to my normal, whatever that was anyway, right? So and I'm aging. And so, yes, I would say I have reached that most days 90%. Occasionally, I will have a Lyme day where I'm like, I just feel exhausted. I feel heavy. I feel like it's usually because I haven't ate well. I'm not sleeping. I have too much stress. I'm not processing things well. Like, I know what I
Mhm.
need to do. I know the supplements I need to take. I know that I need to rest. I need to go bird and cast prey. Like, there's so many layers to like but thankfully, those Lyme days do not usually last more than one day, and they're few and far between. So I'm super thankful because it is, I mean, it comes rushing back that I was like, I didn't get off the couch for 3 years. Like, I was so broken and sick. Like, I'd
Wow.
pour my kids sugar cereal because I didn't know any better. And B, that's all the energy I had.
Yeah.
I would pour them sugar cereal and I would go back on the couch, and that was it. My husband took over everything, all the laundry, all the errands. I couldn't drive. I was so weak. Like, nothing. So yes, I have come so far. I did the Reno treatments. I did 6 weeks and then I did another 2 weeks, like 6 months later. I came home. I was detoxing. I say full time. Like it was our full time job for 18 months to heal my body. I ate bone broth soup. I did the GAPS diet. um, so bone broth soup, meat and veggies, collagen, good fats for 18 months. And that was horrific. No birthday party cheats, no Christmas cheats, nothing. I mean, we were like, if I don't get well, I'm going to die. And I did not want to die. I
Yeah.
wanted to raise my babies. And so I was super motivated, but like grueling amount of self discipline to do that. I was detoxing. I was walking. We bought a sauna for our basement so that I would sweat. I was doing detox bath. I was doing coffee enemas a couple times a week. I mean, it was intense. Our life stopped because we were like, we have to figure this out. And we were advocating for ourselves, though. We were reading books. My husband was reading books. He was helping me because I was like, I don't even have the brain capacity to read a book, let alone figure out what it says and implement it into my life. And so,
Yeah.
and during that time, it was also a mindset shift for food that I think is important. That God designed food to fuel our bodies, and
Hmm.
our society says food should be pleasure. Now,
Wow.
does
That's good.
does God does God give us food as a gift to enjoy pleasure? Sure. Of course he does. He's a good father. Is that the only point? And is that what we're going for? No,
Hmm.
that isn't. He created it
Yeah.
as fuel. He created it so our bodies could run. And that was a huge shift for me. Like, Christmas is not
Mm.
about my mom's homemade rolls, but it is, right? It is my mom's homemade rolls. And without that, this can't be Christmas. And God just really had to show me, like, nope, you can enjoy relationship. And again, do I enjoy, my mom makes me gluten-free rolls now. So she knows and understands and has come and I've also come a long ways. Um but he really needed to show me, he designed food to heal and to fuel our
Mm.
bodies. And so I need to make
Yeah.
wise choices. So again, like, thinking about moms and families, that is my goal and hope at home, is to try to nourish my family with nutrient dense foods.
Yeah.
Then we don't currently have anyone whose life is on fire or whose health is on fire.
Sure.
So we
Sure.
do go to birthday parties and we go to Christmas and we go to, whatever, the church potluck. And there's my 5-year-old takes 6 brownies. I'm like, how
Okay.
about one brownie?
How
Right.
about
So,
one brownie?
and we're going to have some green beans with that. And we're going to serve up some
Yeah.
watermelon. And God gave
Yeah.
us whole real food with vitamins and minerals that our body needs.
Yes.
And so trying to have that balance of, at home, I do work hard and it is a big piece of my life and our homeschool, honestly, because my kids might have Lyme and then might be Lyme carriers, and because they live in a fallen, broken world and Lyme is not the only thing they're going to have to fight. When my kids leave our house, I want them to understand how to prepare nutrient dense foods. Now, I have a
That's right.
teenager who maybe doesn't love that right now, and I'm pretty sure when he goes to college, he's going to live on Fruit Loops for a while,
And that's okay because I think that's with
right?
any of us, but that's so I love hearing you say that you live in the freedom of things, especially after almost dying and
Mm-hmm.
going through all of this. I know that there's probably better days than others, but it sounds like you do manage that tension well of here's our life and ice cream is a treat. It's not an every night
Right.
thing
Yeah.
or because especially if you diet, or different things, um, changing your life can really feel like it stinks at first. But
Mm-hmm.
when you do come on the other side, say you don't have Lyme, but you're just like, man, I do feel some conviction here that I want to treat my body better or live better. After you get through some detox of whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
your food drug was, it does feel good and you feel sustained and nourished at a different level than
Yep.
just, you know, looking for the high that sugar gives you or whether it's coffee or whatever vice
Right.
we all have, but it does feel good and I feel like there's something really cool and awesome in my soul that happens when I'm making sourdough bread for my family.
Yep.
I don't and it's like, that's not everyone's walk right now, and we've only been doing that
Yep.
for maybe a year or something, but I feel so blessed to buy it's not even gluten-free flour, just an $8 bag of bread flour from Sam's and be able to make so many things for my family that
Mm-hmm.
fills them up and that it only has 3 ingredients, and I know it's
Yep.
gonna sustain them, and then for my daughter and I to not hurt eating anymore because our story was way less dramatic than that, but we had a 4-year-old who, like, started having bags under their eyes, would just go high, low, emotions. She was, like, punching people in the face, like, it was
Mm.
it was more than behavioral, and we were just praying and being like, what is going on? We like something's off,
Yeah.
and we get in the car after, she went 0 to 90 on somebody and she would be weeping like, Mom, I don't know how to control this. I don't know what's going on. And come to find out we went at the same time through our pediatrician and through natural testing and they both showed the same thing. Our kid
Mm.
had E. coli and so that's why she was hurting in different ways, but then she was allergic to milk, eggs, peanuts, sesame, um and I forget what else. And so the doctors were just did that blood draw and like they're like, here's her allergies. But then
Right.
when we started working with the natural business, like they really helped us say, that's showing up right now, but we need to heal your gut. We need to
Right.
heal your body.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's still things that her and I eat. And I notice like, well, on our vacation, I had ice cream about 36 hours ago. That's why I'm feeling a little emotional. I need to cry. Because that's not a normal in my diet for me, but I know, like, okay, if I'm going to eat something behaviorally, or I might be a little more irritable or whatever. Parenting through this, I think, is the hardest part because as an adult, you fought for this to feel
Yeah.
better. But then my oldest is almost a teenager in 2 months, and we went through like serious control
Yeah.
to, and she was even like, man, oh, I want my food. I feel so good,
Yeah.
because
Yep.
it takes a while to start learning how to cook better for your family
Oh,
and,
for
and
sure.
do all these things. But it was also, and we got that call from the pediatrician like 3 or 4 days before we were leaving for a week of church camp. And
Ooh,
I was like,
perfect.
what are we going to do? And my husband, Andrews, he's like, we're going to get a cooler. We're going to take it one day, one thing at a time. We're going to be okay. And you know what? It was God's gift, that church camp, because they were used to doing this all the time.
Mm.
And their cafeteria lady was like, yep, just this is the whole gluten free or dairy free section. Like, come here. And she
Oh,
like
wow.
came in while we were eating. It was like this massive cafeteria. She came in and she had this tray and bags of like, I just bought a whole bunch of snacks. Do you think she'd like to try these? And I just cried. I was like,
Oh,
I just was like, I just found out all this really scary stuff about my kid, and we were losing friends over it because when your oldest is 4 and all your friends have just 4-year olds, and you're learning to find your identity in Christ and not your kid's behavior, and then your kid hits another kid, or stuff was going on. There's so much like judgment, and I was just waiting for my kid to go off on somebody and trying to
yeah.
like, and so it was like God's gift that we got to go to this
Mm.
camp, because for 7 days, every single snack or meal was made, and we could try a billion things without
Wow.
being like, we just spent $20 on this one loaf of bread
Yeah,
that you
exactly.
don't like
Yeah.
or something. But it was such a gift, and I learned so much. And that was the starting point for us,
Wow.
was doing that. And then learning, wow, mom, you know, need some help too. Like, I've just been coping, or, I didn't have an extreme, can't move my body, but I'm way feeling better, or I need help here, or I'm noticing
Hmm.
I have some of my daughter's tendencies when I eat like this, which, my gut needs help or whatever. But it's
Yeah.
been such a walk with the Lord, because
Mm.
I don't want to control so much, and I still fail at that. Sometimes I'll make a comment that is too controlling, and then I'm like, I don't want her to go eat Fruit Loops every day of her life and
Right.
really get sick. But then also like just like everything, hey, make good choices, or hey, if you eat that it's going to be harder to listen, or that you're going to be hurting later, or that you're probably going to be sick, and then we have to deal with you. you
Yes.
but trying to just encourage our kids and our families to make good choices, with what God's given us, and
Yes.
not shame ourselves or our kids, but just try to be in everything
Life
wise.
giving.
Yes.
Let's speak life. Let's
Speak
and
life.
that's like the word I try to use at my house. And again, I don't want to like vilify food, and
Sure.
even like the bad food, like that we have teenagers and sadly youth group like start to eat a bunch of junk food, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like, maybe I could
Okay.
show up to youth group with like a jack-o'-lantern made of baby carrots, and like that could be our snack, and I'm just pretty sure they would all rebel. um but trying to make sure that what I'm planning and putting on the table and helping my children learn to prepare at home is nutrient dense, and then not when they're like running out the door that I'm like, don't eat sugar. Like, we're just
Yeah.
constantly talking about God created this as fuel. God created food to nourish our bodies. And you know what? They're
Yeah.
getting it. They understand now as they're older that the ice cream shake at Sonic is not nourishing their bodies. One of my kids probably went to 3 or 4 birthday parties in a row in like a year or two, came home and puked after the parties. And
Mm-hmm.
he was like 11. And he's like, I don't think I should eat so much sugar when I go to birthday parties, because he would eat cake and ice cream and all the snacks and the pop or soda or whatever. And I was like, yeah, that's a really wise thought, that maybe you're listening to your body and your body might not like that so much. But let's not
Yeah.
like, you should never eat sugar again. Again, his life is not on fire. His health is not on fire. So I'm trying to help
Sure.
him make wise choices. Like, what if you take
Sustainable.
a
Yeah.
piece of cake, celebrate with your friends, and drink water? Like, what would that look like for you?
What kind of in closing here, like what is a step forward that a mom could take? So we're hearing these things where your testimony, if their life is, not on fire, but they're like, man, does this just mean I need to be gluten free like everybody? Or like,
Yeah.
what's a step forward that a mom, with her family could take in learning to
Mm-hmm.
make nutrient dense food? In general, what's something they could do today?
Yeah. So I have a couple different like ways they could look at this, right? So one is um we have to advocate for ourselves. We have to learn. And so I just posted this on Facebook, like, you are the CEO of your body, and it's
Hmm.
not your doctor. It's not me. It's not the Instagram, phenomenon. It's you. And so trying to figure out, how do I learn? And for me, that is, I'm not a big podcast girl, which is funny because we're recording a podcast. I'm growing a little bit. There's 2 or 3 podcasts I currently trust in my life, but for the most part, I read books. And as a mom of 5, homeschooling with businesses, you're like, how do you read books? I put my phone down and started carrying a book around with me. And guess what? I do have time to read when I'm not
Hmm.
scrolling Instagram and Facebook. So I would say, decide, like, I'm going to read this book before the end of the year, whatever it is. One that I would start with is called Nourishing Traditions. You can get it from the library. I probably currently have it checked out from the library, so it might be a little while. You can get it on eBay. It's not necessarily a cheap book, but it's an investment. And I would not go straight to the recipes. I would read what she wrote and why. Okay.
Hmm.
So that is a big thing. Like,
Okay.
start advocating for your family. Find 1 or 2 people that you trust. It could be Instagram, but don't like, okay, they're gluten free and dairy free, so I have to do that. Just look
Yeah.
at what they're saying and why. Like, look, like, back up. What are they looking? If they're not saying a properly prepared, nutrient dense diet, I don't know that if they're on this crazy, again, some people need to detox, some people need to do crazy things to
Sure.
reset, but long term, nourishing babies, raising children, we need properly prepared, nutrient dense foods.
Okay.
So nourishing traditions can be a great one. And then once you get in that world or reading those books, you can follow Weston A. Price on Instagram. They have a lot of quality articles and things, and they're going to reference different books or things. So it's kind of like a springboard. Like, once you find 1 or 2 people you trust, you can kind of go from there. But I would say, which is funny, like, nourishing your babies and your family starts with putting your phone down, and reading a
Hmm.
book and advocating for yourself and figuring out what is this, and how do people used to nourish their bodies, and how do I get back to that?
Yeah.
Second easy thing is, dump all the seed oils in your house, all the canola oils, all of the hydrogenated anything. Like, literally go dump them out and buy some whole real fats, grass fed butter, coconut oil, olive oil. I use avocado oil sparingly. Now, that's a whole nother story. Grass fed tallow, lard. Those are all things. Start learning how to cook and bake with those things. Coconut oil is a great thing for baking. So if people are like, oh, I can't bake without canola oil. You can. You can. You totally can. I've not had that stuff in my house for years and years and years, and we have awesome baked goods. Also,
Mhm.
you don't, I automatically just have the sugar. If I'm baking something, if it says
Half
two,
it.
half the sugar, easy thing. We're going to
Okay.
make apple crisp because it's fall and we like apple
Yeah.
crisp. Guess what? I'm putting half the sugar in. it's still delicious. We don't need that much sugar. So those are just a couple things,
That's awesome.
easy switches that you can start. And then again, once you're on this journey, you're going to keep going. And the point is not to live in a sterile world eating nothing, because eventually you get to the point where you're like, if you take every single thing out, it's not sustainable to live. But we're trying to make wise choices for our bodies to honor the Lord, to
Okay.
nourish these babies, and take one step forward.
Yay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Where can well actually people can find you on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll post those. It's and your website is restorative-wellness.org.
Yep.
And Instagram is restore.well.
Yes.
But real quick, can you tell us, okay, so somebody's like, all right, I have issues. I've done the food thing. I think I need more help. How
Yes.
can they get in contact with you? And um, let's take the barriers down of like, call Leah. She's going to help you and it'll be amazing, but it's also going to be $1 billion, you know, because the thing I loved about your heart is that you're trying to make things very affordable
Yes.
for families, but also you do some free things.
Yes. Yes. So, a couple different things that I've got going on. So, fermented foods and healing people's guts. Again, if people's lives are on fire, they might not be ready for fermented foods, but a lot of people would benefit from some fermented foods in their diet. So, this fall, I'm offering two different workshops, one in Berthoud and one in Loveland. The one's in October at a Berthoud at a biological dentist's office, and then one in November at a CrossFit place here in Loveland. And those are going to be free. So, you have to sign up. You can sign up on my website under classes, and
Okay.
you can bring a friend. You can come learn. Again, that's just another, and I'm going to have samples and just let people try the foods, because most people are like, I hate them or I've never tried them. And so before you go invest all this money trying to make it yourself, and it might go moldy the first time, that's okay, that happens. You can come see, like, can I do this? Is this sustainable? Can I ask questions? Because you can watch 1,000 hours of YouTube, or you can come to my class and see in an hour and a half
No.
and learn a couple different ferments and be able to ask questions.
Awesome.
So I do that complimentary, and I would love to. I just have a heart to help people advocate for themselves, help figure out how to build their guts. And then the other one is I offer a complimentary call, 20 minutes. And I like to just hear people's story for about 10 minutes of that call. Like, tell me what you've got going on. Tell me what you've done. Tell me what you've tried. By the time people find me, they've usually done all the things and they're not getting answers and they're still sick, right? And so then I use the second 10 minutes of that. I tell a brief version of my story, because there's something powerful about connecting over someone's story. When someone has been in the trenches and knows what it's like to suffer, man, there's a connection there. And
Yeah.
then I like to tell the different modalities, my approach, and also my pricing, which we have intentionally. We are blessed that my husband works full time and his income provides majority of what we need for our family. So this has freed me up to keep my prices low and keep them viable for families and sustainable to have natural health care. Because what I want to do is I want to free up your time, energy, and money to go invest in quality, healthy, nutrient dense food. I want you to have that those things available to do that, not be tied up seeing me or having it be so expensive. I can only bring one of us here at a time. Like, I want you to bring your five
Sure.
kids here, but actually I don't, because I want you to start with one kid, because what I'm going to tell you with the one kid, you're going to implement with two, three, four, and five, and we're going to get that base set. And then in 6 months, bring me that next baby if they're not healing and they need
Sure.
more. But don't bring me all five of them at once. I have told people multiple times, like, don't bring all five kids. That's not sustainable. Plus, what I'm going to tell you for the one needs to go across the board for all of them to make sure that that foundation is strong. So,
That's amazing. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for your time, Leah. Um, I'm just so excited. I know we kind of like, I feel like God just kind of had us share even more testimonial about,
mhm.
this isn't about losing weight or, you know, looking great or having food be our God or,
Yes.
a certain body type, but it really is about living and drinking and eating and enjoying our life that God gave us
Yeah.
and teaching our kids to do the same and to nourish our bodies because here's the thing, if you're made to be high capacity when your body starts tanking and
Yeah.
you can't do anything, it's just such a sadness and a loss in our spirit. And
Mhm.
so when we do take care of our bodies in the way that God's intended, then we're able to step into the mission he's intended for us. And so, I
Yeah.
mean, look at you now. Like, I bet you never thought you'd be like a nutritional practitioner or anything now, but I love that God's taken, the years that the locusts
Yeah.
ate away everything, and he's brought not only you physical healing, but you've extended that to future generations and our family. And so thank you so much for
You're
all that
welcome.
you give, and I'm so
You're
thankful
welcome.
to talk to you. Thanks for coming on today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. It was the awesome time to connect and honor the Lord. And I just appreciate your heart to bless other moms. So thanks.
Thanks, Leah.
All right. Talk to you later, friend. Have a good Saturday.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining the Only Love Today podcast. I hope you were encouraged to look like love no matter where God has you. If you want to learn more about what we discussed, be sure to check out the show notes and head on over to onlylovetoday.com. If you were encouraged by this conversation, please share it with a friend and be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Remember, whatever happens today, before you respond, stop and think, only love today.